Hey people, what's going on? It's Friday night and it's been a very interesting day, so I kind of feel like talking a little bit, maybe kind of a bit of a Dear Diary sort of video. I have this shirt on. I usually have a t-shirt on or a sweater, but went to a memorial service this evening for not only a friend of mine who passed away, but he was a mentor. And if you Omaha folks know who I'm talking about right away, Tom Rudloff. And if you're interested, I'll spell his name, Thomas Rudloff, and you can Google him in Omaha, and you'll see the accolades. He owned a local bookstore called the Antiquarium, but it was so much, and record shop. But it was so much more than that. Tom was a former seminarian who left. He was such an amazing guy. He was 76 years old. He was truly a mentor to me. Tom is one of the people who helped to shape the person that I am. He really helped to cement the importance of love and acknowledging your values, or whether you have any at all. The service was beautiful. He was cremated, so there was no body, but to see. But it was like a gathering of souls. It was like a rainbow gathering, because he truly was a free spirit. His bookstore housed homeless people. He had innumerable discussion groups. Just everything happened there. He was a true supporter of the arts. And he was a real shining example of someone who treated every single person he knew, or encountered, I should say. Every single person he encountered, from the smallest, youngest to the oldest, with complete dignity and respect. I saw it over and over again and learned from that. I mean, he, besides my grandfather and some other people in my family, my uncle, one of my uncles, Harry, who taught me some really important lessons. Tom is a real important. It was real important. I lament the fact that he was in the hospital here in Omaha. He had moved to Brownsville. Was recently in the hospital with the cancer. I had been informed, but as quick as I was informed he was in the hospital, I forgot, and so I missed an opportunity to see him alive one last time. You can look at that many different ways. There can be regret, and then there can also be relief that my last time seeing Tom was intact. But I do know that Tom would have liked to have seen me one more time before he left the planet. But Tom comes up because, well, for a number of reasons. I wrote on my Facebook page that Tom was the sort of person who I would want for president. There is no such thing as perfection, and I wouldn't want an unblemished person. I would want a person who is grounded in their values, who has discovered themselves and is on a continual path of self-discovery and awakening and awakenness, so that the values that they believe in are in action. That's what the person Tom was, and that's what he taught me, which led me to really kind of wake up even before I was out of my 20s to some of my more destructive and selfish ways. Allowed me to have enough presence of mind to make amends to some people that I really needed to. And it was liberating. It was the experience of that was liberating. And Tom helped me to learn the necessity of being congruent and consistent with what you say you are about. Tom was about love, respect, and acceptance, and I've seen him do it. Treat the lowliest, stinkingest homeless person the very same as a CEO that's in the store inquiring about $1,000 book. I've seen him do it with my own eyes more than once. Offer his own food. he'll be sitting there eating dinner in the front part of the aquarium, and someone might come in looking rough and ask for spare change, or do you need something to eat? And I've seen him literally offer them his plate out of his own hands and his own mouth. You know, someone had asked me in my last video who I'm going to vote for, either Trump or Clinton. Well, it's obvious I'm not going to vote for Trump. And I only vote for Clinton because a third party vote truly is, you know, like a matchstick in a hurricane. You know, it's like, you know, if anything, the vote will be anti-Trump, but I don't believe, it's not a matter of belief. I know that Hillary is just a politician, and the politicians have to serve the corporation, and I'm not the corporation, and the corporation does not represent the people, nor does it care about the people. Whatever happens to us is in the afterwash, the backwash of whatever it is they're trying to take care of. But to get it back to Tom Ridloff, neither Trump nor Clinton are even close to being the type of person that Tom Ridloff was. A truly caring person who was not about the money, wasn't about a business. So many times I've seen him just, you know, not give, but, you know, like credit, you know, and not even write it down, you know. Here, take this book. This is knowledge. You need this. Oh, I'll, you know, time after time after time, people come back and paid him. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to just pay some respects to him here. And, you know, I will actually dovetail into the last bit of some records from the Sixth Sense that I want to talk about, because I put some away in the closet now because I'm so out of room. Also, I know you're watching, John, and you asked me to do a review of Radio Son. I didn't see at first that you were on this. I see that you play drums on this. I've listened to it twice, but I can't give a review right now because I know you want a review. I can't remember what I heard. I just remembered that. I remember this much, okay? I'll give you a review, but I'll give you a real one in a separate video. I remember it starting off as wondering what's going on, and then that, and noticing that it got better. That much I remember. From when it started to where it ended up going, it got better. So, but we'll get to that. Okay, John. But the other thing I want to say before I get to the records, you know, some of you folks are listening and some of you are not. You know, remember, this is my channel. But the media has always been manipulated, but it is pumping out such a manufactured, propagandistic reality. It just sickens me, you know, because it's the world that we live in. People are tied into the mainstream media. What the TV and what the internet says goes. And it's just so unhealthy, right? It's just so unhealthy. So unhealthy. And seemingly working like magic. It's like there are people protesting, but nothing's going to change. The 1/10 of 1/10% have the resources, and they're going to have their way, aren't they? So some of the more of the records of the 6.5 cents that are worth mentioning. Electrosonic Guitars by Buddy Merrill. This is one of those knockoffs where they're doing covers with a slightly, what they consider kind of psychedelic feel. I would say that this is not psychedelic at all, but Buddy Merrill can sure pick that guitar, and what he does is very interesting. So cheesy, but his playing is so good. This was a real happy find. Here's a band that I've long known about, and it's just, again, out of my wheelhouse of taste. Seawind. This is just definitely not what I think is cool. However, listen to this whole album, and the instrumentals. There's a couple instrumentals on here that are good. The band are good. Hawaiian band, I believe. Good players. But it's got that schmaltzy approach to music that I just really am not interested in. It's just so predictable and that's, Here's a 12-inch single by Ian McLagan, who was in the Small Faces, Last Chance to Dance. And I like this. I like all 4 songs. So it's like a 4-song EP. Not the greatest. It's, again, so contradictions here? No. I like what I like. And I know what I like when I hear it and I feel it. And McLagan, I've always liked the Small Faces. When they became the Faces with Rod Stewart, I lost a lot of interest. Small Faces, I have Ogden's Nut Gone Flake. So this guy's essence comes through. He's a real musician, a real music lover, and it comes through, and I like this. Here is one that forever I have seen and just always passed up. Michael Henderson's Solid. Now, Michael Henderson came to my attention because I first heard him play bass with Miles Davis on the album Live Evil. He's also on The Corner. But he went solo. I mean, really good bass player. But when he went solo, he went, makes sense. It's like, let's make a career. Let me try to be a pop star. And so this album is R&B with there's one instrumental on here. So knowing that's the case and knowing he had some hits, I was really never interested because I'm not interested in lovers rock, booty call music. I can enjoy it, but it's not what I buy. So to be able to add this to my collection for 6.5 cents and hear the one instrumental, I forget the title, is worth it, The rest of the album it's not of interest. It's well done, but it's not even of interest. Bought this one because it was just it's in perfect condition. Goya, A Life in Song. And what this is some sort of an introductory selection of songs from a new stage musical based on the life and times of the great Spanish painter Francisco Goya. And it's primarily Placido Domingo with guests. And I can appreciate opera. I'm not an opera lover. I've been to several operas, though. But I couldn't leave this. It was in actual brand new condition with this tasty-ass booklet. It's on CBS Masterworks. I listened to the introduction, the musical introduction to everything, which is gorgeous. It's a white label promo, too. And then the singing starts, which, it's like, okay, they can really sing, but the music arrangements are great. So this was cool. Goya, A Life in Song. Now here's one where I have his first album, James Vincent. His first solo album, I forget what bands he was in. Was it Azteca? Guitarist. Fusion guitar player. Very, very good technique and fast. This is his second solo album, but it's a reissue. And even on his first album, there was a spiritual aspect to it. But on this one, he just comes out and just identifies it as Christian. And doesn't that cover just fit? Waiting for the Rain is the name of the album. What's interesting is he mixes his ministry with some damn good music, which is just not often the case that I have found with overly religious music. When I saw this album, I thought to myself, is that the James Vincent I think it is? And got home and played it, and it's like, oh, this is hot. This is cooking. A lot of cooking tracks on here. There are the strictly vocal tracks where he's talking about his faith, but at least he plays good music with it. Ain't nothing wrong with having faith. This is what I say about spirituality. To me, spirituality is not about preaching to others about what they should do. It's about living it. That's always been my problem with preachiness, which is because I saw early on as the child of a minister who was a decent minister, but but surrounded by his church and seeing a lot of people in the church not decent, telling you what to do, but not doing it themselves. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not spiritual. That's bullshit. You know, you live your spirituality. You live it. You don't. Can I tell you about? No. Let me show you by how I live. The other one is so ineffective and just crap. So I'll get on that soapbox any damn time I feel like it. So I think it needs to be disseminated. You know, it's okay to think for yourself. Dogma. Fuck some dogma. Okay. Covers beat as hell, but I couldn't leave it. Max Webster from Canada. Mutiny Up My Sleeve. The band that broke up because they just could not cut through in the USA. I think the reason why they didn't cut through the USA is because Americans don't get their sense of humor. This band is badass. Very good musicians. Kim Mitchell, the leader of the band. I mean, they go all the way from hard rock to King Crimson, progressive, and I mean all the way. You know what I'm saying? Even on this album, I had Max Webster when I was younger, also, on a different album. I forget the name of it. But record's in good shape. Covers beat to hell. But I think that's why they didn't make it in America. You know, just too clever for their own, for America, you know. I think that's what they let people doing a lot in America. Great, that's a great album. So, the Elvis Brothers, a knockoff of the Stray Cats. Not into this music at all. I now have their two albums. The reason why I get them, very simply, is because Brad Elvis is someone who I met and worked with in Chicago. He is the drummer for the band The Romantics. What I Like About You, he's been with them for probably about 15 years now. He also has his own band with his wife. I can't remember the name of the band right now. It's something similar to Handsome Furs. That's not it. But Brad and I were session musicians together in Chicago on the Kleeman album that I play on. So, and we got along so well, and he enjoyed playing the Kleeman sessions, which we both got paid for. He enjoyed it so well that Kleeman had some live gigs in the area. And Brad liked it so much that he did a gig with us. I traveled to Wisconsin with him to do a gig with Kleeman. And we just got along like gangbusters and found out all this stuff, how he became friends with Gary Green from Gentle Giant when Gary Green moved to America and then ended up living in Illinois. Brad became friends with him, played with him, other cool stuff. Brad, good guy, and a record collector. So when I visited him at his house, cool ass house, he showed me the fake wall, opened the wall, and there's to the ceiling singles, 45s. He's obsessed with the British. So that's why I get these records, okay? Because Brad is someone I've made music with. The Kleeman album is good, folks. You can hear a definite David Bowie influence. I have a couple copies left. If you go to my DBH Recordings blog spot, scroll down to older posts, you'll see where you can still order a copy from me. And if I run out and people still ask about the record because it's good, I'll direct your attention to the Chicago label Cowdog, which put it out. Okay? I'm going to keep going. Here's one, again, over the years I would put it, not even look at it because I knew what it was going to be. So it's, not psychedelic. I got to close this blind. Nighttime. It's a couple. It's definitely AM radio pop as far as 60s and 70s. But this was in great shape. That solarized, or whatever you call, picture is somewhat reminiscent of the 60s in a way that I like. And yeah, this is straight pop. Nothing remotely psychedelic or interesting about it, but I got it. Here, I like the band Passport, and Passport is a band that you can take or leave, and it's nothing great, but I heard them in my teens at a time when it just hit me right, and I've followed them ever since. Now, when I bought this at the 6.5 cent blowout, I thought I already had it and that I was just getting an extra copy. I have so many of their albums I forget. I have about a dozen Passport albums. Turns out I did not have this one, okay? So I played it, and this is one where they are super commercial, have vocals, but they always, Klaus Doldinger, the guy in the middle, sax player with a long history in jazz in Europe. My uncle Johnny Griffin even played with him. He's on an early Doldinger album, which I have. The man has integrity and is a good musician. So he always has at least a couple tracks on here where that comes through. The musicianship and his ability to write well. But you also hear where he's obviously found a way to stay in the market and be commercial enough to be bought, to the point that his records always end up in the thrift stores, because when you get to a certain point of popularity and a lot of people are buying your records, you're selling the record as a product to people, and it's meaningless to a lot of these people. That's why I end up with them. Because the music still means something to people like me and some of you that are watching. Right? Here's an excellent album that I added to my collection. Barry Miles and Silverlight. Now, I don't know if this Barry Miles is the same Barry Miles as the author and music critic, but Barry Miles plays in a style similar to Chick Corea and Return to Forever, but really good, and his own style. I dare say that their marketing, these covers, or just most of his albums, the covers are pathetic. And I think it worked against him being more popular. That's just my opinion. Rob Mullins, New Age. Is he a keyboardist or a saxophonist? I have another one of his albums, which is a little on the light side, synthesizers. But he's a good composer, so there's always something good on his albums. So pick this up. It's just like things that strike the imagination. If you take the time to listen to my music, you'll hear what I'm talking about. I don't sound like anybody. You'll play my songs and it won't make you think, oh, it sounds like. It's because it's just me trying to make music, okay? And that's what I'm looking for in art and music. I especially like music and art where you get the sense, well, this person made it because they had to. This is an expression of them, not because, oh, I figured out how to become rich and famous. Sometimes people who are doing that are good and make enjoyable music. But I want the real. This was a complete surprise to me, this one. Chaz Jankel. He was, I believe, in Ian Dury and the Blockheads. Yeah, so I saw him play live with Ian Dury, pianist. When I just kept passing this up, because knowing he was in Ian Dury, who I enjoyed live, but that kind of music is not what I'm looking for, complete surprise. This is all over the place and very adventurous and more progressive and jazzy than I would have ever imagined. Chaz Jankel, a complete surprise and recommended on A&M. This came out in 1981. Forever have just been ignoring this album because of the Ian Dury. Like I said, when I saw Ian Dury open for Lou Reed, and they did Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll and a bunch of other stuff, they really blew Lou Reed away musically. Ian Dury was way better. But again, it's this kind of this bar type of music that, I'm at home. I'm not in a bar. I don't want to hear that. Here's another one where I wasn't going to buy it. The cover was all split out, but no one else was buying it. And I looked at it and I realized this is bluegrass, which I don't listen to much, but I appreciate bluegrass. But I also thought to myself, okay, this is something. This is a small private press label, something that is being overlooked for some reason. And the cover is all split out. There's a mar on one side, but it's not a deep scratch. I know that there are several people in this area that I'm familiar with who do a lot of crate digging, but they're crate digging to flip. I'm not a flipper, I'm a collector. And so these guys, and I know who they are, they leave this stuff behind because they're just looking to make money. But I looked this up on Discogs, and this goes for, it looks like it starts at $40 for a copy of this. I just got this for 6.5 cents. And it's Red Allen, okay? Red Allen, folks that know bluegrass, know pickers, Red Allen and the Allen Brothers. And this is stone solid. Stone solid. Happy to add this to my collection. But it's a find. It's a find. This was a find. Okay. Perry Botkin Jr. Ports. I believe this man is best known for his soundtrack work. Years ago, I owned this album. I acquired it as a promo, and when I got it, I did not appreciate it. I love it now. I love library music and soundtracks, and that's where this fits. When I had the album, I did have a favorite song, "Eternal Sunrise." So when I got to the final track on this, it all came back. Oh yeah, that was the one I would play, you know. But the album starts off real safe sounding, like music to buy breadsticks with, you know. But it just gets better, and my appreciation of this whole genre has deepened. And so it's a nice textured cover and everything. So I really like this now, okay? 2 more and I'll be done because we're hitting the half hour. Another album that I would not buy because it didn't have the hit, but it turns out this is a damn good album. Brick. They had that hit Daz. But this one, there's a couple of skips on there, unfortunately, but this is a really solid funk album, Brick. And it's like, man, I was stupid to just keep not buying this album. This is good. And We Don't Want to Sit Down, We Want to Get Down is one of the tracks in here. It's really cool. Last thing I'll show you is something that I hesitated because it's damaged with mold, but I said, well, I can clean that up. Watt Stax double album, live from the Black Woodstock, basically. Okay, when Stax record was flush with money, the success of Isaac Hayes and several other artists, they were riding high, and they had the Watt Stax concert. It's on film, and once I clean this up, it's pretty good. It plays pretty good, and for me, the high point on here is the Bar-Kays and Carla Thomas. Actually, the Soul Children and Isaac Hayes and Staple Singers are on here, and Eddie Floyd. But the Carla Thomas, she's just feeling it so much you can't get past it. So those are the last of the 6.5 centers that I left out the show. Well, no, there's actually some more, but I'll stop there on this. And I just want to say again that, reflecting on Tom Rudloff, the loss of Tom Rudloff. He was 76, so he lived a good life. He could have lived longer, though, Cancer took him out. But to me, he was truly an example of someone that I think should be a saint. And I want to keep saying that it wasn't because he was pure and unblemished, because if such a person exists, we've never seen them. And it has nothing to do with being a good person. Tom showed me through his actions what it means to be a good person. You live your values. You know what I'm saying? And the parts of you that are broken or that are funky and fucked up, you try and not slime other people with it. You try to deal with it on your own as best you can, which is, he set that example for me, so that's how I try to live. It has to do with why I'm single, because I'd rather have my space and be left alone than have to struggle with getting my space. And when you're with someone, you're with them. And I want to be left alone. Now, do I pay a price for that? Yeah. But I know from my temperament that I need to be left alone instead of having someone hover over me, or, having to make these special considerations. I know that when you love someone, you want to do these things. I understand that, but I ain't like that. I love you, but that doesn't mean I'm going to, go out of my way to do anything for you. That ain't what love is about. Respectfully, I do things for others out of love. But obligation and all that crap, I'm just not into it, And, yeah, I'm living the way I need to live. And again, Tom Rudloff was someone who helped me to see that. He was someone else who also showed me that you don't have to be in an order to do service. Matter of fact, he is another example of what I learned, which is in order to truly be of service, I can do that outside of the church. I'm actually more helpful to the community by not having gone into the priesthood like Tom. Thank goodness we didn't. Now, I'm not putting down good priests and nuns and shit and people of the cloth. I'm not putting down good people. I'm talking about the widespread corruption and deception that is so poisonously present in all of our institutions. That's what I'm talking about, okay? The upholding of the institutions has so corrupted the original missions that brought people into the institutions that's why we're, especially here in America, facing having someone like Trump or Clinton become president, for God's sake. And I know it's just as bad in other countries. I hear from my brothers and sisters in other countries. I hear from you folks. And you let me know that politics over there suck just as bad. The only people who are getting anything that they want is the 1/10 of 1%. And trying to justify it or say, oh, that's not what's going on. Talk to somebody else, because it's obvious to me. It's a fixed game. Fixed game. It's a fixed game, and so I just talk about it and live the best I can. So all we can do is live the best we can. Last thing I'll opine about is a couple things, actually. Man, I could go for a long time, okay? But the one thing that really gets me, and okay, this will be it, is how adults supposedly are mature and able to think logically and process. And yet, the great majority of people cannot handle differences of opinion. What's wrong with this picture? Everyone has an opinion. An opinion is merely that, what the person thinks. We all could not possibly think the same, and so opinions are going to be different, and yet we're still getting upset, unfriending people, ending friendships, ending up with verbal abuse, physical abuse, killing one another because of a difference of opinion. And I'm just flabbergasted. Are y'all really? I'm going to put it like this. So, if the shoe fits, okay, are y'all really that fucking stupid? Yeah, we got work to do. And we ain't doing it.